for joining me for episode 17 of my Doll's House Diary. Now today I'm going to be creating templates and using lining paper to line the walls prior to redecorating. Now I made a start yesterday, so I'll show you what I got done and then we'll get cracking. So just before I start making the templates, I want to tell you my plan. So I'm going to start here in the study and make the template, and then I'm going to use that template for these other rooms. So the study there, the first bedroom, the second bedroom, the living room, couldn't remember what was going to be in there then, and the dining room are actually more or less symmetrical. So obviously the doors are mirrored, and then in the second bedroom there I moved the door from here to the back of the room, so I'll leave that room until last. So I'll make the template and then I can use it for the bedroom. I'll try it in there first just to see if there are any little tweaks that need to be made as I go along. I can then do the living room, which is an exact mirror image, and then for this room I can just cover up the bit where I've cut out the door, and I can cut a new door in the back there, and ditto for the dining room down here. Sorry if I'm making you dizzy, sort of dashing the camera about like that. So I can then cover up the door at the back and again cut out this door here, and there'll be a door in that back corner there rather than a window. And that's really just a time-saving way of doing it. So if you're going to be using templates, just have a think about that. If you've got a symmetrical doll's house or, you know, similar rooms, then just see if you could reuse the template, and that will save you a lot of time. Okay, so I'll go and grab some paper and we'll make a start. Okay, so I've got here my scissors and masking tape, which I'll be using to stick all the pieces together. Now, I am actually using new paper, but it's this Tesco's Basic Range paper. It's a 75 GSM, so it's quite thin, and it's less than £3 for a ream. So it is fairly cheap, but I want to use new paper because I want the square edges. That way we'll get a better fitting template. And I've also just been into my workshop and pulled out, remember I kept all of the chimney breasts, which I'll be reusing, apart actually from the one in the study, as I will be making it wider. If you remember, I said in the last episode about having the little built-in seat under the window back there, so I'll be making this a bit deeper to accommodate the seat, which will join onto it in that back corner. But I will be making it the same width. And the reason I just want to place that there is because I'll be doing a template in that back bit there. You can actually see where I had the wallpaper before. So I did it to here, and then I did it to here. And then we actually paper this and add a piece onto the side here, all in one sheet, so we haven't got any seams down the side of it. And I'll be doing that again, so I'll just be doing the template at the back there and then another sort of square here at this front. That'll all sort of become a bit clearer as I go along, but I just want to start with that there and make this template for this side, which is going to be very straightforward. Just a square of paper, and I want it to tuck behind there as well. Just lay that down, but I don't want it to overlap the wire, so I'll just place that there and make a crease along the side of the doll's house. Now if you saw the kitchen episode, you'll know this method already, but I will just go through it again, just in case you don't sort of watch every single episode. So I'll then cut that, and I want to have it so that the straight line is along this open edge. And then you can just stick that into place with a bit of masking tape. Couple of pieces there, stick them on the top, and then actually attach that so that it's sitting right up to the top of the ceiling there. And I want to get it as exact as I can, but all of these edges will be covered. I'll obviously be having skirting board along the bottom here, and I'm going to do some coving around the top, and we'll do all that in a particular order, so we're sort of building the room up, but we'll come to that in our next episode. And then I just want to make another little bit to go down to the floor there. So I'm going to cut a strip off of there again, so if I line that up like that, bring it right down to the bottom, and then make the crease again. Like that, and then I can stick that to the first piece. And then we've got an exact square there for that part of the wall. And that's what we're doing, we're sort of building it up like a patchwork really. Stick that there. And I'll just leave it like that for now, but when you actually remove these, you can sort of make them more solid by adding a little bit more tape. Okay, and I'm just sort of going to change camera positions to get into that back corner. Now I want to cut a strip that's going to go alongside the window frame there. So I'm just sort of creasing it in. Let's make the cut. And hook that piece back in. And then I'm going to put a little bit of tape at the top there, hold that into place, and continue my way around the window. Just fold that bit of tape back. It's quite difficult to get in to this corner with the camera there. Right, I then want to put a bit underneath the window there, and make sure I've got a straight edge of paper. And then I'm going to go right into that corner and then make a crease under the window ledge, like that. I think I've gone a little bit short on that. I thought I'd cut it longer, but I obviously didn't. I went to the wrong side of the line, the crease I'd made. But that's the beauty of doing it this way, because if you've got a gap, you can just fill it in with another bit of paper. Put another strip along there. Make sure that it's tucked right up under that window ledge. Actually underneath the window there is a little bit uneven, and I think that's where I accidentally chipped away the bottom of the window frame, but as I'm building in that seat I'm not going to worry about that too much. So there is a little bit of a gap this end, but I'll leave it and just build the rest of the template around it. I'm now going to come this side of the window, so push it right up to the top like that. There. Crease along the floor, and then I can probably fold it again about there, a little bit more so I'm not near the wire. And I know that looks messy, but that bit's going to be hidden, so again, tuck along there. Will be there. Again, I'm going to stick those pieces together, and then I've just got a strip to do there along the top of the window, and then you've got a perfect cutout for the window. Stick that there like that. As that's holding, I'm just going to make the bit along the top of the window. Actually, I've got a piece there, I wonder if that will fit. Yes, perfect. Just needs a little bit of trimming, and then glue that piece into place. So that's that wall now done. I keep putting things down in the kitchen and I shouldn't. So then what you can do is remove those and fold your tape behind, and you can actually add a bit more tape if you wanted to make that more of a single sort of solid piece, but I think that'll be okay. I am going to stick a bit at the back there to stick those two pieces together. Just like that, just to hold it straight. And that will be that wall. And that side of the wall in each of the rooms. And I'm just having a look, and over in the what will be the dining room, the tape comes further over to the front of the house. It runs about there, so I'll need to alter that. But again, I've got the chimney breast from the dining room here, so I'll use that as my guide. And these will all need tidying up as well, all stripping, and I'll probably put some lining paper on those as well. So that's that bit, so keep that safe somewhere. And I'm just taking them out because I know they're going to be flapping around as I'm working at the back. So I just want to get them out of my way. And that didn't come, maybe comes a little bit too close there to the eyelets. So I'll just trim a little bit off of there. And again, fold your tape around. And I just want to put a bit of tape on the back, hold that all together. I'm just going to trim a little bit off this edge so that it's not overlapping the electrical eyelet. And then that's that bit. And there's no need to write on them because I'll remember where they go. Each wall is quite distinctive, but if you have walls that are sort of very similar, then do just jot on them which position they go in. And now for the back wall, which will be a bit easier. So the back wall is one whole sheet of paper, and then I've cut a second sheet in half lengthwise, which was the straight edge, that one. And I've got a few pieces of masking tape ready. Let me just get that into that corner. I'll need another little strip along that right hand side there. Push that second bit up to the top, and then I'm going to stick it across the middle. And then I just need a strip for that end. So I'll take the other half, get the original edge into the corner so I know it's straight, and then make a crease along the floor there, and then I can just stick that piece to those first two. And I must just apologise for my hands and nails at the moment, but I suffer from really dry skin, especially at this time of the year. And it's my own fault because I wash my hands too much. So, and also always sort of putting on and removing nail varnish for the tutorials. So my nails are really dry and flaky, so I've cut them down as short as I can, and I'm trying to lay off of the nail varnish. So they look absolutely awful. But I've been searching online for some natural ingredient recipes to actually strengthen my nails up. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. But I will have to put a bit of nail varnish on at Christmas, when we're sort of getting dressed up to go out, and then my hand's going to look awful. I don't know, as a miniaturist, if you suffer from weak nails at all, or how you look after your hands. If you've got any good tips, do let me know. Okay, so that's the back bit, quite straightforward, a square, and I'm keeping these templates separate, and I'll actually be laying them onto the lining paper as 3 separate pieces and leaving just a tiny gap for each corner, because then you've got a bit to push into the corner. We'll come to that as we sort of cut and fit the lining paper. I'm just going to put a little bit of extra tape on the back of those sheets, hold them together. Like that, so I'll put that to one side as well. And then it's just this right hand wall, so once again I'll move you around. So again, really easy on this wall. I've got a whole sheet there, and it overlaps the door opening, which is fine because I'm going to sort of pencil that in from the other side. And then I've cut another sheet in half lengthways again, which I'm going to fit up there. I'll also be making templates for the ceiling, and again I only need to do one of those. It may be that the little ceiling eyelets are in different places in each room, but that's quite easily remedied. I can just make a different little mark on each piece for the hole I need to cut. I'm just going to hold that in place like that while I do this final piece. I'm actually just going to put one piece over there, and I hope this bit fits that I cut off. Yep, perfect. So I've got the straight edge here along the side of the door. And I want to cut it along there. Just fold that in. And then stick that into place. You remember last time I was complaining about how cold it was out here, and it's actually quite nice today. Quite nice and warm. Haven't got any extra heating on apart from the one small radiator, and I even turned the thermostat down this morning as well. So like that, and then I'm just going to, I think I've pulled it out at the bottom there a bit. It doesn't really matter because I can trim off the edge, but I will just move it over. It's straight along that edge. Move that back down. And I'm going to hold this in place with another piece of tape so that I can draw the door opening through the back there. Just stick that there for a moment. Like that. Let me just go and grab a pencil, and then I'm just going to draw around that door opening. I'm just going to grab my notebook and just push it in there to hold that flat, and then draw around the opening like that. can remove the template. There. I just want to stick a couple of pieces of tape at the back there. Above that door opening. Another one up there. Oops, putting things in the kitchen again. Cut that piece off because it all folded in. And then I can cut the door opening out. Like that. Please tell me you do silly things as well, because I was just struggling to get these two pieces of paper to hold up onto the ceiling, and then I thought, well, I might as well do it on the floor because it's the same surface area. Please tell me you do stupid things sometimes. So I'm not actually going to cut a hole for the light because it may be in just a slightly different place in each room. And then when I've cut the lining paper, before I stick it into place, I'll rub a pencil over it to make the little indentation for the eyelet, and then I can cut a little hole in each room. So that's the main pieces there, and then just need a couple of pieces at the back. So if I cut that piece lengthwise, then I can use the offcut to fill in that little sort of slither at the corner. So that will go there. And I just need a little corner piece to stick in there. Stick those down and we've got our ceiling template. So I've also made templates for the ceilings for these three sort of central areas, so the entrance hall, hallway and the landing up there, and they'll all be the same. The only difference again will be the light switches, especially where I've put in another eyelet at the top there for what will be the little landing at the back, and then we'll have the bathroom at the front. And then here in the centre I've got the magnet for the door, so I'll need to cut around that when I've cut the lining paper. And then I've just made one template here which I'm going to use for all three walls on the left hand side, and that will be the same for those three walls. I can then reverse it in this central area, and then as I said earlier, the top and the entrance hall floor, I'll need to do some adjustments on that, but I can use that to get the first one cut. And I've done the same as well with the back piece, so just a square to go in there which will fit the back of each of these central rooms, and then I will just cut the window out of there when I've cut the last piece of lining paper, and I'll have to pull the doll's house out to get round there and do that line. And then if I can just bring you up the top here, I've done the template here for the left-hand wall of the attic room and also the right-hand wall, and this one I can then bring out and use for that wall as well. And then what I'll do is once again I've cut the lining paper, I can then bring that into the central area and make an adjustment for the door and then cut around that. So I'm really thinking about just making as few templates as I can, and that's really just to save time. So that's all of the templates now cut. So I'm now going to move into my workshop where I've got my large cutting mat. I think if I remember rightly, last time I did this out on the dining room table, but I'm hoping I've got enough room in here. Now this is the paper that I'm using, and it is actually just called lining paper. and you can get it in most DIY stores. Now, I'm not sure if it's called the same thing in the US or other places, but it really is it's just a plain matte paper, and it's quite thick as well. Okay, so I'm going to cut one room at a time and then actually glue it into place, as I don't want to have lots of sheets of paper hanging around and getting in a muddle with it all. So I just want to open this out and weigh it down. Let's use these two glues. I haven't got much room to open, so we'll see how we get on. Let me just move you around so you can see the edge of the paper. I was looking for something else here to weigh it down at this side. Bottle there. Now I'm actually going to start with the study. So here are the 3 templates that I want to do as one single piece. My chair's squeaking because I'm sort of sitting on the edge of it rather than sitting on it properly. Okay, so think about the way round that your room goes. So if I'm looking into the study, I've got the door on the right hand side, so I want this piece to go right along the edge. And I'm laying it along the bottom of the paper again, so I've got that nice straight edge. And because I just sort of free cut this edge just to straighten it up a bit, it's not exactly straight, so I'm just going to lay it in a little tiny bit. And then I'm going to grab my masking tape again, and I actually want to stick these templates into place onto the lining paper. Let me just have a quick look in the camera, see if you can see me there. Yeah. So making sure I'm straight along that bottom edge. Start by sticking that there. And we'll just cut these off, so that's okay. I've got a bit of a bubble there, but as long as I'm straight along the bottom edge, I know that's in the right place. It's just where I've stuck this top bit on here. Okay, let me stick that piece down as well. So I don't want to put masking tape on any of the bits that I'll be attaching, because obviously it'll pull up and it'll leave like a frayed piece of paper. So only stick the masking tape to the bits you'll be cutting away, which I've done there. And then I want to roll that side up, and I'm going to move it along. And I'm already thinking it's probably a mistake to try and do it in here. But now I've started, we'll carry on. Just weigh the paper down again. And then my next piece is going to be the back wall. So that was just my straight piece like that. And I'm not going to put it right up against the edge of my first piece, because that will be the corner of the room, so the back right hand corner. I'm just going to leave about probably about 1.5 millimeters, so 1/16 of an inch. And that's just so that you can then get a good crease in that corner. You don't want it to look rounded, but if you don't leave the gap, then you might find you come up short at the sort of outside edges of the room, so the edge is closest to the opening. Right, so again, make sure that's straight along the bottom edge of the paper. And again, I'm just going to put a bit of tape on there, just at the top. And I'm just going to go along a little bit further. And then I can bring in that final window wall. And again, I know my thinnest part is on the right hand side, so right at the back of the room. And I'm just wondering if this makes a difference if it's that way or that way. I think I cut it that way because I remember that slanted piece there. But I'm just going to go and check. So if ever in doubt, go and check. I'm so glad I checked because it did matter, because the space at the bottom of the window is thicker than the bit at the top. So that's a point as well. Maybe when you're making your templates, just put bottom or top or whatever, just so you can identify it. And again, I'm just lining it up so I'm leaving that 1.5 millimeters along that edge. I'm going to stick this into place as well. Again, only onto the pieces that you'll be cutting away. There's two squirrels darting about in the garden, chasing each other. Now they don't come to the window anymore. This is a new generation of squirrels. Let me just see if I can show you. I don't know if you can see, but there's one there on the bird table. Just darted off. We get about 3 in the garden now, but they don't come to the window anymore as it's a new generation, and they never saw the parents coming to the window. And that's how it had always been. The parents had shown the babies really what to do, and they just carried on sort of following on. But then because it's stopped for one generation, it hasn't started again yet. But I think in the summer when I'm sitting in here with the window open, you know, I can put a few nuts out on the window ledge and they'll probably get used to me again. I did used to enjoy them coming up, knocking on the window for their nuts. Funny little things. Okay, so I'm actually going to start cutting out now, and I want to use my steel rule and craft knife to make sure that I get all the straight lines. So I'll start cutting from this end. In fact, I'm just going to change the blade in my knife because I don't think I've changed that since my last project. Alright, okay, let's start cutting. Cut that window out. Checking I'm not getting in your way too much. And then I want to come across this top edge. I'm going to cut the actual roll off. And get that out of the way. And move along. I think I'll cut that off as well. Those pieces can be used for the smaller pieces in the attic and those other little squares that we have at the other side of the chimney breast, so none of it will go to waste. Pull that over a bit more. cut the door out, and then we can go and try it in place. Right, so just carefully remove it from the paper. Keeping the templates, remember. Right, let's go and try it in place. Moment of truth. Okay, so I did film me actually putting that in, but when I played back all I could see was my back, so I'll cut that bit and I'll just show you how that's gone in. So I'm okay on the right hand side of the door, but I've cut a little bit too much on the left hand side there, so that's going to need trimming away. So I'll just make a little crease down there. This paper's awfully strong, which is really good because I was really sort of pulling it about then and pushing it into those back corners, and it hasn't torn, so I'm just going to be really careful getting it back out again. But it did feel a little bit tight getting it in, so I think I might just trim a tiny little amount, a hair's width, from the bottom of each edge, just so that that goes in a bit more smoothly when I glue it. And then if I just bring you around to the other side, so it fits nicely around the window when I sort of press it into place. So I'm going to go and make those adjustments, and when you do make adjustments it's better to do a little bit at a time and then try it again and then take more off if you need to, rather than taking too much off in one go. Right, so let's go and do that. Really want to take that out carefully. Now I've said about it not tearing, it'll probably tear. Okay, let's go and try that again. Now that went in so much easier this time. I have got a bit of an overhang at the end of the door here, but what I'm going to do is glue that into place, and then once the glue has dried I'm going to trim this off, because I don't want to cut too much off before I've really sort of pushed it properly into that far corner. So it's almost 2 o'clock now, which I hadn't realised, so I'm just going to go and grab a sandwich, and then after lunch I'll glue this first one into place and cut this piece of the template and glue that in as well. But already that's going to look so much better in each room in preparation for the sort of redecorating. Just looks so much cleaner and the walls look so much smoother. So I'm looking forward to getting this in place. Right, my stomach's starting to growl, so I'll go and grab my sandwich. I've just come into the kitchen to make lunch, and there's 2 muntjac deer out here. That's the male, and the female's under the table there. Get out of the way, squirrel. They come into the garden quite a lot to eat the birdseed. I hadn't seen them for a couple of days, but when I was putting birdseed out this morning, oh, I saw their sort of footprints in the mud down there, so I knew they'd been. Now, I don't know if you can hear it, but the recycling lorry is outside, so I think the female just heard that. That's why they're a bit jumpy. The squirrel doesn't care. They see me. They've got such lovely faces. To attach the lining paper, I'm using my Gorilla wood glue, and I didn't have much left in here, so I've cut the tub down just to make it easier to get into, and I can then use that to dispense a little bit more into for each room. And I'm going to apply it with a brush, and I want to start over in that back corner just because I know I've got a really good fit there. And I'm going to apply the glue a little bit at a time, otherwise it'll be dried by the time I get to the next section. Now, you might want to use a specialist wallpaper paste or something like that. It's entirely up to you, you don't have to use wood glue, but I've got a lot of this and it does work well with paper. Make sure you cover the whole area, right into the corners as well. I just want to grab my kitchen towel, and I can then use that for smoothing it onto the wall. Put it in. Now, I hope you can see that I'm not just blocking your way there, but I'm just getting it around the window. And then just pressing it into place around the window opening. I haven't put enough glue this side, but that's okay, I can just tuck a little bit more under. And I'm just going to grab, rather than doing it with my fingers, grab a piece of kitchen towel and just press it down with that. I'm just really trying to pull out the bubbles or any creases. I've actually just thought about this plastic scraper that my husband uses for vinyl graphics. I think that might work better than the kitchen towel. It just works out any creases. And also pushes it into that corner. Just put a bit more glue under this edge and stick that down. So I'm just going to remove that piece of masking tape that I put there to protect the eyelets. And then just put a little bit of glue beside it. Wipe off the excess there. And this bit is going to be hidden behind the chimney breast. Okay, so move those out of the way. And then I want to apply glue to that back wall and then work my way around. I'll see if I can do it without getting in your way too much. trying to work quite quickly because then I can bring the hairdryer in before the glue has dried, and that should shrink everything back and get rid of any sort of wrinkles there might be. That's covered. Just you bring that scraper back in, clean the edges off. To make sure it's sticking into that corner. And don't forget as well that pale or plain paper like this is going to be really unforgiving, so you are going to see the wrinkles if there are any. If you were using a pattern or something, they'd be less visible, but also they do tend to shrink back as well. I've had it before where I've had some quite bad wrinkles, and then once I've come down in the morning and had another look, it has shrunk back quite nicely. So don't sort of be tempted to rip it right off if it's only a few little wrinkles, because chances are they will dry back. Okay, cleaned up and move on to this next bit of wall. Hoping I've got enough glue in here. I think that's covered. I'm waiting for an electrician to arrive today. I told you actually last time I was filming that they were putting a ceiling into a little room at the back there, and then I'll come in to fit a light, so if there's a knock on the door I might just have to quickly disappear. Now I'm just pulling that back a bit because it was not straight along the top, or it was sort of overlapping onto the ceiling, so let's try again. Smoothing it down as much as I can, and then I'll go and grab the hairdryer and see if that will get rid of any. But actually, not overall too bad. And I think what actually causes them is when you haven't put the glue on either evenly or you've missed patches, and it sort of creates a bit of a bubble. So it's important to try and get your glue on evenly. Right, I keep saying it, but I will go and grab my hairdryer now and we'll give that a blast. So I'm just going to put it on a low heat setting, and it's going to be quite loud, so I'll put a bit of music over this. Now, I must say that has worked very nicely. I could actually see the wrinkles shrinking back as I was holding the nozzle onto them. I'm quite pleased with that. I don't think I've ever put on a piece of wallpaper that hasn't had at least one wrinkle in it, so that's quite nice. And I think any of the marks that you can actually see are the marks that were in the wall. Okay, so I'll go and cut that little extra piece for that side wall and stick that into place. That piece went on lovely and easy, nice and easy to get to as well, on just a small piece. So I'm now going to go and cut the piece for the ceiling and attach that, and then I think I'll work my way up. Okay, so I've cut the lining paper for the ceiling. I'm just holding that in place, and I just want to find the eyelets which are there, and I'm just going to go over those with my pencil. And then I can cut that out, cut a square around it. And I'm going to be using ceiling roses, so that will then hide the cutout and the eyelets. Okay, so I actually stopped filming there for a while just because the electrician turned up, and I'd just actually stuck the ceiling paper into place, and I had to ask him if he'd wait to turn the electric off until I'd given it a blast with my hairdryer, and he looked at me as if I was a bit strange. But there, not too bad. Now the sort of creases you can see across the middle there are where the copper tape runs, and I didn't want to put glue over the copper tape. I have heard that that can actually erode the tape and stop the lights from working. So that's what the ripples are there, which I'm not very happy about, but I don't really think anybody's going to be kneeling down on the floor and looking up at that, so sort of looking into the room from sort of normal eye level, you can't really tell. So I think that's okay, but actually with the walls I'm really pleased, and as it's drying it's shrinking back even further, and that looks really nice. And that's a really lovely base now to either apply further patterned wallpaper to or to paint. And the style I'm going for, this sort of Laura Ashley country house sort of style, I will be doing some walls with wallpaper and some paint, you know, in the same room. So I think I'm going to leave it there for today. It's getting late now, it's nearly 5 o'clock. And that did actually take, as usual, longer than I expected. And I think I'm probably not going to be able to do all of the rooms on camera. So I'm going to crack on tomorrow, and I'll do as much as I can in the time that I've got. And then the following day I want to sort of edit and upload this video. So whatever's left I'll do, hopefully, over the Christmas break. I really want to get a day, at least a day, on the doll's house over the Christmas break, but I'm sure you know how it is. You plan things for sort of over Christmas, but then it's just sort of lots of coming and going and and things, so I might not get to work on it, but I will try. Okay, so I'll leave it there for now, and I'll see you bright and early in the morning. Just before I carry on with the lining paper, I forgot to clean the tape from the window yesterday, and I had wanted to do that before I did the lining. And in the last episode, if you remember, I said I was going to use soap and water, but actually my husband suggested using furniture polish, so I'm going to give that a go. So I've just actually got here some Tesco's wooden furniture polish and duster. Let's just spray a little bit on. And let's give it a go. That does actually seem to be working. Yeah, that is actually taking it off. Now the other thing I will need to do is repaint the window frame. And I did actually think last night maybe I should have done that before I applied the lining paper, but then I'm not sure what colour I'm going to be doing the woodwork in this room until I start redecorating. So I'll just do that once I start the redecorating. Yep, that has removed the tape, or the tape, sort of sticky tape residue. So that's a really good tip there, and I'm sure any sort of furniture polish would work. It's really just dissolving it and then I'm just sort of rubbing it off. So thanks, Matt, for that tip. So that's worked really well. So I've actually only got another 3 windows to do. So I'll do those and then I'll carry on with the paper lining. So last night I had a little bit of glue left in my pot, so I just covered it in cling film. So let's see if it's okay this morning. And I just washed my brush out in hot water. That got all the glue out. Yep, that's fine this morning. So that worked well. There was only a little bit left in there, but I didn't want to waste it. So I'm up in the bedroom now, above the study, and I'm going to start on the ceiling this time. And I don't think it really matters whether you start on the ceiling or the walls, because they don't overlap. But then when it comes to the actual decorating, flooring, skirting, coving, all that type of thing, there is a particular order I like to do it in. I'd really like to think that I could line all of the rooms today, but I always tend to think I can get more done than I actually can. So we'll just see how we go, and then, like I said yesterday, if I have to sort of continue over the Christmas holidays, I'll do that. I'm going to grab my hairdryer again. So I just cut the paper for this room, and then when I came to fit it, to dry fit it, I realised that it didn't fit around the window. And I didn't actually realise, but the window is in a different position in these upper two rooms than it is in the study. So it's just actually this template that I'm going to have to adjust. And if I lay it into place there, you can see the difference. So there's a lot more wood above the window and less below. So I'm just going to quickly make another template to go here. But the bit of paper that I had cut didn't go to waste, because I came and used it over here in the what will be the living room, which is the mirror image of the study, the room that I'd just fitted. So that was okay. But for a minute there I just couldn't think what I was doing wrong. So, but that's good, because that's another room now that I've done. I've just got to do this template here for the right hand side of the chimney breast, so I'll do that in a moment, and then I'll remake that template there. So that's quite interesting, just sort of looking with the naked eye. I didn't think that the windows were in a different position, but actually they are quite different. So that's the bedroom done with the new template, and that went on really nicely. Hardly any wrinkles even before I'd used the hairdryer. And if I just show you as well down here how that ceiling is shrinking back even over the copper tape, so you can still see it there, but it's certainly not as bad as it was yesterday. So I think the areas that I did glue is obviously pulling back the crease over the tape, so I'm quite pleased about that as well. I'd cut my hole slightly in the wrong place up there, so I just had to rip a little bit out over the top of the eyelets. I'm not sure how I managed that. And then I've just added that extra panel over here, so that's that room done as well. So 2 of the larger rooms completed this morning. Still got to do the ceiling paper in there. But it's now lunchtime, so I'm going to stop just for half an hour, and then I'll do these attic rooms when I come back. So the first attic room is done. And then I used the template I created for this wall to do this one, although just a slight adjustment was needed along the angle of the roof. So I'm not sure why they would have been different, but that one fitted nicely, and then that one I had to trim away. And then the one that I used for this wall the template I'm going to use for this one, and I just want to cut out for the door. So to do that, I'm just laying it in place there, and then I've just been around with my finger and I'm just creasing in the edge of the door. So I know where to make my cut. Right, so that will then be the attic rooms done. And I just wanted to say as well, I have remembered in the window recesses, if you remember, I left the wallpaper there because I thought it would be easier just to cover it than removing it, and a little bit at the end there in the sort of side of the close-in bit. So I'm going to make a couple of templates for those and just cover those up with lining paper as well when I come to either paint or repaper. Probably just paint in the window recesses anyway. And then I'll have, let's have a look, all three central areas to do. The ceiling of the living room, and then the dining room, and that one remaining bedroom. It's about 2:30 now, and I like to pack up about 5:30. So I'll see how much I can get done. I wonder if I can do it within 3 hours. Maybe if I stop waffling and get on with it, I probably could. So I completed the upper landing, the walls and the ceiling there, and I fitted the ceiling paper into the living room there. So again, a bit of a lump where the copper tape is, but I'm hoping that'll shrink back overnight. And there's that side done as well. Now I'm going to have to leave it there for today because, as usual, time is running out. So I've just got 2 larger rooms to do, the bedroom and the dining room there, and then those 2 sort of middle rooms, so the entrance hall and the landing. And a few little finishing touches, sort of trimming off the paper at the ends here, doing those templates for the inner window bits up there and things like that. And I've also got to line the inside of the doors, which I keep forgetting because they're sort of stuck down there in the corner. But I'll do that in the same way. I'll also make the templates and attach the lining paper as I've done for all the other rooms. So a bit disappointed that I didn't manage to get it all done today, but I will continue with that over Christmas, and I'll film everything again so that I can update you in the new year. So that's it for today. I really hope you've enjoyed this episode, that you found that useful. So that will be the last Doll's House Diary for 2019, and I really hope you've enjoyed this series so far. The next video I add to the channel will be my year-end vlog, where I'll look back over 2019 to see how I performed against the goals I set at the beginning of the year. And I'll also be telling you what I've got planned for next year, so I hope you'll join me for that. And if you're a fan of my Doll's House Diary, you'll be pleased to know that I'll be concentrating on this series throughout 2020. So I'd just like to thank you for watching this series throughout the year, and for all of your likes and comments and tips and advice along the way. And I'd also like to wish you a really happy Christmas, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.